Melanie Benson here, and I'm America's leading small business optimizer. And this weekly podcast is featuring people that I know have really been able to optimize their success, optimize their effort, and be able to take their business to something extraordinary by doing a few things really, really well. And I can't wait to get into today because this friend of mine is someone that I've had the privilege of getting to know over the last couple of years. And Amy Porterfield, if you don't know Amy Porterfield, she's the co-author of Facebook Marketing All-in-One for Dummies and the creator and host of the popular podcast Online Marketing Made Easy. And she is someone who has become a Facebook marketing rock star. See the rock star? Can you see the rock star in the background there? That is Amy. And Amy and I were in a mastermind together for a while, and I just found that, she has this extraordinary gift of really understanding how to make this social media platform work. But also, she's just an amazing person, and she's such a great provocateur of ideas and opportunities. So, Amy, thank you so much for being here today, and I'm so glad we got our schedules to work out. Yay!
I know, finally. Thanks so much for having me. It's so great to finally talk to you again. It's been too long.
I know. So, you've become very well known in Facebook, and you've become well known as an internet marketer. I guess you're an online marketer. Let's talk a little bit about what was the catalyst for you to get into this line of work, because you've had a really interesting past in terms of some of your background and how you got where you are today.
Yeah, So I worked for Tony Robbins for about 6.5 years, and when I was ready to leave Tony, I thought I was going to go into social media marketing and consulting and coaching and all that good stuff. And I did that, but I realized it was so broad that I felt like I was getting lost in the sea of all the other social media experts out there. And it just didn't feel right to me because I was working so hard, but wasn't necessarily seeing big returns on everything that I had been doing. And so a few opportunities came my way to start really honing in on Facebook. And once I started to do that, I feel like everything changed because people could instantly identify Amy Porterfield, Facebook marketing. There wasn't any question or ambiguity around it. And I think that really shifted everything in that moment.
Yeah, and again, we've talked on the show here about riches and the niches, and we had multiple discussions about, do you want to get tied to one thing and really straddle that fence and or do more than one thing, and it's become a really powerful opportunity for you to become well known and become an authority by specializing. Yeah,
it's so true. When we were in our mastermind a few years back, I remember we had the discussion, and there's always a piece of me that thinks, but I don't just want to talk about Facebook. I love Facebook and what it's done for me and my clients, but I want to branch out. But I got such great advice in our mastermind to keep being known for something. That doesn't mean I can't teach other things or talk about other things, but really my core business is still focused around Facebook. And I've been able to do that in this last year. I started a podcast where I kind of branch out beyond Facebook, and some of my content talks about list building and other things like email marketing, all tied back though in one way or another to Facebook. So that's allowed me to have some flexibility.
That's great, and I love your podcast, by the way. It's really fun.
Thank you.
I love watching other people's podcasts, too.
Me too.
So you worked for Tony Robbins. I know you had some consulting gigs for a while, but was there anything that made Facebook the logical choice for you?
What it was I just saw that it worked really well, and I couldn't ignore that. It just kept getting bigger and bigger. When I came out in 2009, it was already big on the scene, but I've just seen it get bigger and better over the years. And at the time, one of my very first paying clients since leaving Robbins was Mike Stelzner of Social Media Examiner. And he had just started his website, but he said, "Hey, Amy, will you help me build my Facebook page so that we could start driving a lot of Facebook traffic over to the website?" And I did that with him for a good year, and I just saw how powerful it was. I saw that not only was he building this community, that they were loyal fans, but also these fans were turning into customers at record speed. And so when I saw that, I thought, this is the platform I want to be on.
So what would you say, the core of your programs being Facebook guidance and Facebook marketing, which, by the way, I have bought one of Amy's Facebook marketing programs, and it's phenomenal. You do such a good job every time you teach them. What would you say, though, is the common challenge or problem that people are experiencing that would make them benefit from, the Facebook strategies you teach?
Such a good question. I think that it comes back to really solidifying your platform. Online marketing is huge and it is crowded for sure. And so knowing that there's a space that you could set up shop and you really don't have to pay anything in order to do so, at least to get started. We'll talk about Facebook ads maybe a little later, but getting your platform set and being able to connect with people on a one-on-one basis. I love all the other social media platforms, but what I've noticed with Facebook is the conversations are more lengthy, they're a little bit more in depth, and they don't go away as fast. And so I really believe that Facebook solves the problem of that instant connection with your audience, as well as Facebook is a perfect place to build your authority. You can become that go-to source. If you are generous with your content and your time on Facebook, you can really quickly become that go-to source in your niche.
So Facebook's become really, I would say, I don't want to say volatile, that's the wrong word, but constantly evolving. Yeah, it's constantly evolving right now. And so, I know you have like a whole wide range of things that you do to stay on top of Facebook and the changes. And, let's say someone's just getting active right now on Facebook. What is a way in which they might be able to really harness the power of Facebook? We'll talk about Facebook pages, because there is so many changes right now that I think make Facebook pages very different than they were even like 3 or 4 months ago. So someone just starting, what would you recommend for them if they were getting on Facebook?
If you're just starting out on Facebook for your Facebook page, I always say the first thing you got to do is brand it. You want to set up shop and look professional. So it might seem not as important to have a really great timeline cover photo, or maybe set up a few custom apps on your Facebook page, those little boxes that are like mini websites on your page. It's important to really look the part and make sure you're representing your brand. But once you do that, I have to say that I always bring this up in my interviews lately, but Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, I am a little bit obsessed with it. And the reason being is that he talks so much about engagement and what it looks like to have really strong engagement, and shows hundreds of examples. And I poured over that book because really, with Facebook changing all the time, if you know your audience, really understand who they are and what they're about, and you're able to include yourself in the conversations versus push yourself in those conversations on Facebook, and really understand the nuances of Facebook, like really get familiar with what your audience is talking about and what gets them talking, you're able to create what Gary calls native posts or native content, which are those posts that are more real and honest and personal versus pushy, spammy, and salesy. Truly, if you start there and really hone in on the type of content your audience will respond to, and you start getting more likes, comments, and shares, Facebook will start pushing you out into the newsfeed more. So that's really where I'd focus, is what content is going to get my fans to take action.
So there's a little rumor floating around in the social media marketing world that Facebook's kind of gotten to the point where unless you're paying to get your post promoted, they're not going to show up in the news feeds. Like, what's your take on that, and what are you telling people right now?
So there's a little bit of truth to that, and what I do know for sure, I wish I could sugarcoat it, but I can't, and that is that the majority of our fans are not going to see our Facebook posts if we don't get out into the newsfeed. And it's very difficult these days to get out into the newsfeed. It's not impossible, but that's why I bring up content first, because as long as people are interacting with your content, they're likely going to see you in their newsfeed. A lot of the times we post something, but we're not encouraging a like, comment, share, or click. And if the fan does nothing, Facebook thinks that person's not interested in your content.
Right.
So you've definitely got to get them to do something. But here's the deal. Even with that, it is more difficult to get into the newsfeed. And that's why I can't help but talk about Facebook advertising, because although it's not free, it is extremely powerful. And if you told me that I could no longer post on my Facebook page, but I could still use Facebook ads, I know that I would still see a really huge return on my investment. So Facebook ads to me are where it's at. And all the people that complain like Facebook isn't free anymore, you have to pay. And I always say, well, what part of advertising was ever free? Or, why should it be free? I'd rather pay for it and get really good results than wish that everything was free.
Right, and you can target it. One of the things you have been so instrumental in helping me understand Facebook ads, and one of the things that I really started to understand in working with you, and you actually helped me design some of my first ads, was, I remember, and it was like, all right, so you can target exactly which audiences you want to be seeing what you're doing, and then one of the things you teach a lot about is those custom ads, and being able to really customize where your ad's going to show up. Is it going to be on the news feed or this right bar? Just all of that stuff is really helpful. It kind of takes the mystery out, but it allows you to use your marketing dollar because, think about it. A lot of the marketing we're doing, you have no control over who sees it. You have no control over where it's going to land and who, how well it's going to, fit the target market. But with Facebook ads, you really gain a lot more control. I'm sure that's what you see as well.
I love that you said it that way. I've never explained it that way. I might have to steal that from you.
It's yours.
Thanks, Fred. You never know really where it's going to land, but I can promise you, you're so right. If you target specific Facebook pages so their fans see your ad and you say, I only want it in the newsfeed, I can tell you exactly where that ad is going to land. So yes, you're so right about that. It's extremely powerful.
So is there any other little juicy nuggets or things that you think would be really helpful for someone to know if they're going to get into Facebook pages and using Facebook marketing right now?
Yes, if you're going to really dive into Facebook marketing, a few quick little things. One, page post ads. You want to know that term and look it up on Google. There's a lot of great articles, but page post ads is a great place to start. And really, just real quick, I'll tell you my strategy, and I know yours was a little similar when we worked together on just, friendly work together on those ads. But this is exactly how I use them, and it's so important to understand how this process could work for your own business. I created a giveaway. It happens to be an automated webinar, but you could do different giveaways. And I use my Facebook ads and target them really, really tightly so they're getting in front of the right people. I use my Facebook ads to then drive traffic to an automated webinar that lives outside of Facebook. And in that automated webinar, now I'm getting their name and email, and I could sell something at the end of that webinar as well. So every single day I have leads and sales actually going through. And one thing with Facebook ads is that if you already have an email list, you could actually upload that email list to Facebook and ask them to create a lookalike audience, which means find people that are really similar to the people already on my list and market my ad to them. That is where I'm seeing the biggest results.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Audience.
Yeah, we're actually starting to do some stuff with that, and oh my God, I love it. That's in custom audiences, by the way, just so you know. And Amy spells all that out. And can people still have access to some of those? Yeah, okay. We'll talk about that later. We'll make sure everybody knows how to take advantage of it. So great tip. Love Facebook ads. I get lots of value out of them. I've actually gotten really high profile clients from Facebook ads over the last year. I find them really so valuable, and I don't actually mind paying for it because I know I'm going to get great results for it. And if you look at the cost per lead, it's very low.
Very, extremely.
Yeah. So let's pull back the curtain on Amy a little bit and maybe find out, what some of the things that you've experienced over the last few years, because you've had some rapid growth. You kind of came out of nowhere overnight and became this big sensation, even though I'm sure you were like the 5-year in the making overnight success, right? You're like, it was not an overnight success, Melanie. I really did work at this for quite some time.
But I like that you think so. That's
exactly. It's much more mysterious and alluring, right? But what would you say is one of your biggest challenges that you faced on this journey of becoming an authority and an online marketer and business owner?
Oh gosh, I've had a few challenges for sure. I think one of the big ones is often overwhelm and trying to do too much at one time, and having some fear around if I don't jump on different opportunities, I'm going to miss them.
Yeah.
And so that's always been a struggle. It's a little bit less now because I'm very aware of it, but in those early years, it controlled me. And so that was definitely a challenge I had to face.
Yeah, I think overwhelm is that's pretty much a common one for a lot of people, is knowing that there's so many things, bright shiny objects, different directions you can go, and which path do I take, and really kind of building up that decision making muscle is a skill that we have to I think when you're starting up, there's a lot of that's beneficial because you're trying different things, you're going to see what sticks. But once you get to I'm making money, I need to focus. I need to make this work better.
Yes, I wish, in 2013, I had finally started to plan a lot better. But in 2012, when I was making money, I wish I would have done it then, where I said, okay, what's making me money? What's actually working? And what do I not need to do in order to still see success? I didn't do that in 2012 and still felt a humongous overwhelming sense of stress. So yeah, I totally agree that decision-making muscle is really important.
And you have a family,
Yeah.
so balancing it all, that's the allure and the dream of being an online marketer, is that we're going to call our own shots and we get to make our own schedule. But like how does that really work for someone who's balancing being a mom and a wife and running a business and being on the trajectory of needed to people are pulling at you all the time wanting more Amy. So how do you balance all that?
You know, another struggle that I definitely face, but recently what I've been doing is that I need to, quite honestly, force myself to shut down. So I
Mm-hmm.
realized that it was just so unfair to my husband and my son to, this is me. So I'm at my computer like, yeah, I'm listening, yeah, and typing away. And it's so rude. And also, it's not the kind of relationship I want to have with them. So now it's like I have to shut the computer completely, look at them, and just be present. And it's so much more enjoyable. But my husband is a godsend because he never really complained about it, but I know there's no way he could have appreciated that. So shutting down has been a really big way for me to balance. And as you know, we have home offices. So
Mm-hmm.
you step one way and you're in the kitchen, the other way you're in the bedroom, and then your office. Like there's not really anywhere else to go. So it's a huge allure to go back into the office like that. So
Right. Yeah, you're like, oh, I can just get a couple more emails done. I'll be back in 5. An hour later, they're like, what happened? Did you get sucked into the black hole?
exactly, it's so bad.
So, what would you say has been like a pivotal learning for you? Like, has there been something that you learned along the way that just it really changed everything for you and caused you to maybe propel your business or your lifestyle and enjoyment? Something that was like a major game changer for you.
Yes, I know right off the hand, or right off the hand. I don't think that's a really term, but I just invented it. But I know right
You're
away.
an entrepreneur, you can do that.
Exactly. So in 2012, I had a really great year, but it also, like I mentioned, was a very stressful year, and there was way too many hours of work late into the night. So when 2013 started to roll around, I wanted to get very specific with how I was going to spend my time. So I mapped out the entire year, but even beyond mapping out the entire year, I said I'm only doing what's working. So I have something called the Facebook Marketing Profit Lab. It's a 6-week program that I launch a few times a year. So I said, okay, I'm launching it 3 times this year. I'm doing 2 affiliate launches, and then I'm doing XYZ. So I was very clear of what I was going to do, and we pretty much said no to everything else. And I didn't
Hmm.
let myself create a bunch of new programs or products or put out content that didn't really match what I was doing. And not only did I have more fun in 2013, I tripled my revenue. So
Hmm.
that's when the aha moment, like, holy cow, I think I'm onto something. So I remember David Fry once told me, the minute I decide to work less and get focused is when I'm going to make more money. And he was completely right.
Yeah, that's the whole theme of optimizing is how can you work less but do more? And it's like, how do you take what you have and make it generate exponentially? And I love that you had that aha and that's really working for you. Now, is there anything in particular that was like a tactic or approach that helped you do that?
Yes, very.
Besides saying no?
Yeah, besides saying no. So with this launch that I've done a few years now, I actually created it while I was in our mastermind, the Profit Lab,
Hmm.
as you know. And so I've perfected it over the years. And one tactic that I used was I got out a calendar and I mapped everything out for this launch and for delivery of the program. And when I say I mapped everything out, I had on the calendar the dates that certain emails would go out during the promotion. I knew way in advance when I'd be doing my webinars to promote it, at what time,
Hmm.
what people I needed to support me with that. I had everything from the cart open to cart closed to when the program started. Every single thing was on this calendar, and I had a Google Doc I shared with my team of every single task and who was doing what. It took me a long time, but now I never really have to reinvent the wheel. It's there. Now I just tweak it, to make it match new dates. So the precise planning and the hours and hours that it took to really drill it in, not that I couldn't be flexible, but I knew where I was going. To me, that changed everything. And I think, some people plan, yeah, I'm going to launch on this date, but what about all those other dates that lead up to it? That was my tactic. I got really clear on those as well.
Cool. I love it. I think that when you get in the habit of planning for the success you want to have, you work less reactively. And that
Yes.
reactivity is what's so stressful because you're like, oh crap, I forgot about this and oh, I got to do that. And now you're working late at night trying to get caught up. And, when you take the time to really plot it out, and this is one of the things I have all my clients do is, you plan for the success you want to create. You have to reverse engineer if this is where you're going to go live with an event or a program or an offer. All right, what steps leading up to it? And then what do you have to do on the back end? And then what's going to happen next? Because a lot of people leave money on the table because they don't know what's going to happen after that. And
Yes, so
that's,
true.
it's not for everybody. Some people just have one thing, but, I think for a lot of us, there can be some next steps that you can move people through to, I call it your, the flow, like what's the flow of where they're going to go. So I love that you've had that. It's such a huge opportunity for so many entrepreneurs to stop trying to do everything and just make what they have work better.
Yes, so true.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have to stop being a creativity addict.
Yes, yes. That's funny you say that. I was just on a call last night with somebody where I said, I have this weird thing where most entrepreneurs have a million ideas at once and they're constantly wanting to create this or that. I have like one good idea a month. And I've always like beat myself up over that because I don't have tons of ideas sprouting from me, but I actually have been able to use it to focus more. So I'm going to just go with it.
It's a strength, girl. It's a strength.
Yeah.
So, what is like a favorite mantra or quote that motivates and inspires you?
So it's a really silly one, but I always come back to it. And as you know, one of my good friends is Marie Forleo.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in a mastermind, my early years with her, she always would say, everything is figure outable. And she pretty much made up that word, but it made perfect sense to me. There's always a way. And when I worked with Tony Robbins, one thing I really admired about him is we never said no. Not because we could just throw money at it, our challenge and have a solution, but more so we had to be extremely resourceful. So I really do believe everything is figure outable. There is a way if you want to get it done.
I like that you use the word resourceful because when I did my NLP training, neuro linguistic programming, that was one of the NLP kind of words is like, how do you teach yourself to be more resourceful and to recognize like if you're resourceful and you want to say yes to something but don't know how to get there, being resourceful and figure outable, that is the way to make the big leaps. And I think people really short circuit their own ability for success because they're saying yes to the wrong things that they're comfortable with and no to the things they're scared or don't know how to do or don't feel like they have the resources to pull off. And if you flip that around, that's where big success comes from. And I think that's where that higher earning power comes in.
So true. And I think you have to sometimes push beyond because there's been a lot of times my team has come to me and said, okay, we can't do it this way. And because XYZ, and I'll always be like, okay, go find out how we can do it this way. Like,
right.
You kind of have to push yourself and your team sometimes and not just, stop at that first, oh, we can't do this.
Yeah, well, that's a leader.
Yes.
The leader says, don't tell me no, tell me how, or find other ways, it's like, if you're connected to the big vision, then like find a way to get there, even if it means hiring a new team, I'm not saying you should ditch your team, but, sometimes you have to have the right people who are able to be more resourceful to solve the problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's next for Amy?
Well, I'm going into my Profit Lab launch soon. We launch in April, so March will be all the kind of setup time and get ready for it. So I'm looking forward to that. I've been doing a bunch of things this month, to kind of solidify some other opportunities I had, but now it's March comes, it's focus time. So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit about the Profit Lab and like what happens in the Profit Lab.
So the Profit Lab is a 6-week program where I really dive deep into Facebook, but not everything about Facebook. We only talk about how to build up your authority, how to build your list, and how to sell more. And that's really what Facebook marketing, Profit Lab is all about. And we create a Facebook marketing plan. So after the 6 weeks, you walk away with a marketing plan around Facebook and around your business. So we get really tactical in it. And there's, I offer a VIP so that they can get more one-on-one time with me. So I really enjoy the program and I've seen some big successes. So I'm looking forward to it.
So Amy, how do people find out about you?
If you go to amyporterfield.com, everything is there.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Amy's a friend of mine, and I'm giving her an endorsement as a friend, but also like, she is one of the people I have turned to over and over and over again, and I go through her Facebook training that I have over and over again because it works. And I found that there's so many different moving parts on Facebook ads. It was really confusing, and just having like a step-by-step little system made it easy. I could hand it off to my team and just say, hey, go figure this out. Or I could step in if I needed to. But, you make it really simple and easy to understand. And you're so nice.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And it works. That's what the whole thing is. So.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, Amy. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing some insight and some wisdom. And it's been great to reconnect and hear all the wonderful, fun things that are happening in Amy land. And why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on Facebook, since you are the queen of Facebook.
So it's facebook.com/Amy Porterfield. And thank you so much, Melanie. I've always been a big fan, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
You got it. So as you're listening in here today, we'd love to hear, is there a nugget or little tip or insight that you're going to be able to put into action? Share it here in the comments below and let us know what's resonating for you, and give us a shout out. I'm sure Amy would love to know what of her delicious nuggets you're going to be able to use as well. So bye, everybody. We'll see you next week.